In the sprawling city of Ethel, amidst towering marble columns and bustling markets, lived two men whose lives were as different as night and day. One was Cassius, a senator of immense wealth and influence. His days were filled with lavish feasts, important meetings, and the admiration of the public. He was known for his grand donations to the city's temples and monuments, his name etched in stone for all to see. Cassius believed his good deeds, visible to everyone, secured his place among the revered. The other man was Lucius. He lived in the shadows of Ethel's grandeur, in a forgotten corner of the city where the cobbled streets were cracked and the houses were small. Lucius was a simple baker, with little coin to his name. What little he had, he shared. A loaf of bread for a hungry child, a warm cloak for a shivering elder, a kind word for the lonely. His acts of kindness were small, quiet, and often went unnoticed by the bustling city. No one etched his name in stone. No crowds cheered for him. His only reward was the quiet warmth in his heart. One day, a strange fever swept through Ethel. It did not discriminate between the rich and the poor. Both Cassius and Lucius were struck down. As the fever took its hold, they both closed their eyes, leaving the world they knew behind. They awoke not in their beds, but in a place unlike any they had ever seen. It was a vast, ethereal hall, filled with a soft, golden light. Before them stood a majestic seat, the judgment seat, radiating a profound sense of peace and authority. They understood, without a word being spoken, that this was a place of reckoning, where the true measure of a life was taken. Cassius, confident in his legacy, stepped forward first. A grand vision unfolded before the seat. It showed the magnificent temples he had funded, the towering statues bearing his name, and the cheering crowds at public festivals he had sponsored. Cassius watched, a proud smile on his face, expecting praise for his generosity, but the figure on the seat was silent, and the light in the hall did not change. Then the vision shifted. It showed a poor family turned away from Cassius's gate as they begged for scraps from his feast. It showed a desperate craftsman, whose plea for a small loan to save his workshop was dismissed by the senator as insignificant. It showed the countless faces of the poor and needy in Ethel, people Cassius had walked past every day, seeing them as little more than part of the city's scenery. The grand donations now seemed hollow, more for his own glory than for genuine compassion. Cassius's smile faded, replaced by a dawning horror. He had built monuments of stone, but had failed to build bridges to the hearts of those in need. Then it was Lucius's turn. He approached the seat hesitantly, his head bowed. He had no temples or statues to show. What could a poor baker possibly present? But as he stood there, a new vision began to form, woven from countless small moments. The hall filled with the image of a little girl, her face lighting up as Lucius handed her a warm loaf of bread, her first meal in days. It showed an old man, weeping with gratitude as Lucius wrapped a simple cloak round his frail shoulders during a cold winter night. It showed a young widow finding a small bag of coins left anonymously on her doorstep, enough to feed her children for another week. It showed the faces of dozens, then hundreds, of people Lucius had helped. Each act was a tiny flicker of light, but together they created a brilliant, dazzling constellation of compassion. These were the forgotten poor, the ones the city had overlooked. But here in this hall of judgment, they were not forgotten. Their relief, their gratitude, their hope, it all echoed through the vast space. Lucius watched, tears streaming down his face, not from shame, but from overwhelming emotion. He had never thought his small deeds mattered to anyone but himself. The silence was finally broken. A voice, not of thunder but of profound love, resonated through the hall, speaking not to their ears, but to their souls. It spoke of true wealth, not measured in gold or stone, but in acts of love and kindness, especially for those who have nothing to give in return. It spoke of a legacy not carved on monuments, but written on the human heart. Cassius stood in stunned silence. He had sought the applause of the world, but had missed the quiet call of humanity. He had lived his life in the spotlight, yet his soul had been in darkness. Lucius, who had lived in the shadows, found that his simple life had been a beacon of brilliant light. The vision faded, and both men found themselves standing at a crossroads. Before them lay two paths. One shimmered with earthly glory, leading back to a world of power and recognition. The other path was simpler, bathed in a gentle, warm light, leading towards a place of peace and true purpose. For Cassius, the choice was agonizing. Everything he had ever valued was on one path. But now he saw its emptiness. For Lucius, the choice was simple. He had always walked the path of humility and love. This story isn't just about Cassius and Lucius. It's a reflection for all of us. In our own lives, we face this choice every day. Do we chase the grand, visible achievements that bring us recognition? Or do we focus on the small, unseen acts of kindness that mend the world one person at a time? The judgment seat isn't a place of fear, but of clarity. It reveals that the most powerful force in the universe is a compassionate heart, and the greatest legacy we can leave is the love we share with those who are forgotten. What path will you choose today? Thanks for watching. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that makes you think and feel. We'll see you in the next video.